might get a record deal.
Let me know. Alrighty, all praises and glory be to the Most High. Ahaya, Ahaya. We give thanks to Yeshua, the Mashiach, and Warawak, the Holy Spirit. Today we're gonna end our series on who are we, and we're gonna end it with the 3 tribes who have been persecuted and destroyed the most. We're gonna talk solely about Issachar, Gad, and Judah. Okay. Gad's Hebrew name is Gad. Issachar is Yahakachar, and Judah Yahawadi. So we're going to talk about those 3 today in detail. We give all praises and glory. At the end of this teaching, we're going to show the flags of all 12 tribes of Israel. So I thank Father as we continue this series on who we are, to get an understanding on who we are, and to get an understanding on why things happen the way they happen to us, especially to these 3 tribes. The rest of the tribes, yes, they have been persecuted. They have been misused and abused and neglected. The Haitians are still going through it today. All right? They're still going through it today. Earthquakes and eating dirt cakes and all this other stuff. They're still going through it today. We're still going through it. All the 12 tribes are still going through it. But until we rise up and follow the Most High God, Ahaya, until we understand and know that we are God's chosen people. We are not Gentiles. We are not Christians. We are not African Americans. We are not Mexicans. We are not Native American Indians. We are not from the tribe of Hopi. We are not from the tribe of Apache.
That's right.
We are not Pimas.
That's right.
We are not Tohono Odoms.
No, we're not.
Until we realize that we're going to continue to fall under the curses of the Most High God. So I thank Father for this. I thank Father for, getting these teachings out, to get an understanding on who we are as a people, so we can not only spread this truth, but also come under the submission of the Most High God. Because 2 Chronicles 7:14, how is he going to hear us if we don't even know that we're called by his name?
That's
right?
That's right.
All right, let's get it.
Let's get it.
We done got delivered. We done got spiritually wrapped up with the music. And now it's time to feed our spirit, our soul.
That's right.
It's time to feed your spirit, man. Asher, so-called South Americans. Benjamin, so-called Jamaicans. Ephraim, so-called Puerto Ricans. Gad, so-called Native Americans. Issachar, so-called Mexicans. Judah, so-called Black Americans. Levi, so-called Haitians. Manasseh, so-called Cubans. Naphtali, so-called Samoans and Hawaiians, and actually also Philippines can be included in this list. Reuben, so-called Seminole Indians and the Aborigines from Australia. Simeon, so-called Dominican Republic, and Zebulon, so-called Guatemalans and Panamanians, Central America. Gentlemen and ladies, you should know that chart by heart. You're going to have to know that by heart. You out there street preaching, and you come across somebody who's from Haiti, you automatically got to know that they're from Levi. And you automatically got to know why they're being persecuted the way they're being persecuted. Because they were the priests at the time. You have to know this stuff when you go out there street preaching and you're ministering to somebody. Okay? It's a shame. No, I'm not going to get into that. All right, our email. If you have an email, if you have a question, send it in. We'll respond as soon as we can. Thank Father for the emails that are coming through. I give Father all the praise. The YouTube channel, Shabbat, Deliverance, and Street Preaching. Our teachings that are coming up. And we're going to take a vote on which one's going first. We have a teaching coming up called You Have Been Deceived. That's going to cover a lot of stuff. It's going to be time consuming. We also have a teaching coming up called fornication. Everything that the Bible says about fornication. Okay? So those are the upcoming teachings. Why is it only 2? Is because September we are packed with the holy days, right? Memorial of Trumpets, September 10th. So one of those teachings will be on the first week of September. Second week is the Memorial of Trumpets. Then the third week we'll have the second teaching, depending on which one goes first. Memorial of Trumpets and the Fall Holy Day falls on the same day. So we have a feast and a teaching on the Memorial of Trumpets. Okay? Feast of Tabernacles is the end of September, September 24th through October 1st. That's a double Shabbat. So plan on a teaching on the Shabbat and Sunday because it's a double Shabbat. And then, of course, October 1st.
Are both those days feast days?
Both those days are feast days.
The Shabbat and Sunday?
Yes, it is. We did it wrong last year. We're doing it right this year. Day of Atonement, September 19th through 20th. No work, school, period. What my boss say, I don't care what your boss says, it's what the Most High says. No work nor school. And that starts Monday sundown on the 19th through Tuesday sundown on the 20th. It's a dry fast, meaning no water, no food.
And yes,
it's spiritual. No brushing teeth. None of that.
we will have a holy convocation. So
we will have a teaching here.
Yeah.
We will have a teaching here on that day. That teaching won't be at 2 o'clock. Because I know some of you. The teaching is going to be at noon. I expect you here at noon.
On the 20th?
On the 20th. The 19th is sundown. Alright? And we're going to learn about the Day of Atonement. This is probably one of the most important holy days.
Yes, sir.
Alright? Feast of Dedication, December 3rd through the 10th. If you've never read about the Maccabees, we're going to do an in-depth teaching on the dedication. You're going to know about the Maccabees, and you're going to know about a certain system who went up against the Roman emperor. She's from Judah. It's good that you learn about this history instead of learning about the history that they teach you in school.
His story.
Yeah, still the first time.
All right. Our winter holy day is December 17th. The winter holy day, we're going to have a convocation and we're going to have a feast. Okay? That's December 17th. Don't worry, I'm going to keep these dates throughout so you all will not forget. You won't have an excuse.
Oh, thank you.
October. Our teachings in October are going to be on the spirit world. Demons, angels, they're going to be on the spirit world. I would highly recommend that you do not miss one of these teachings. Healing, all that. And of course, we're going to end October 31st with the teaching called Halloween. Okay? All right. Who are we? Who are we? Part 3. Our first scripture is going to be 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verses 40 through 45. I have your copy. 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verses 40 to 45. Alright? Those are the 10 tribes, which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osa, the king, whom Salmanasar, the king of Assyria, led away captive. He carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land. Okay? But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth unto a further country where never mankind dwelt. Now we know this is talking about the 10 tribes. We know that these are talking about all the tribes except who?
Yeah.
No.
No. Except
All the
Judah,
tribes except for who?
Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Judah, some of Levi, some of Benjamin.
Judah, Levi, I'm sorry, some of Judah, all of Judah, all of Benjamin, some of Levi. Okay, why some of Levi? Why some of Levi, not all of them?
Because some of them was the priests.
Some of them were the priests, right? Well, they all were part of the priesthood. Who was serving the northern tribes?
Oh,
Levi.
Yeah.
There you go. Verse 42. That they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. You know that it's a prophetic message that the rivers, when the river Euphrates dries up, that's when all hell's going to break out.
It's almost dry.
Right now, it's almost dry. Better pay attention. It's in the Bible. When the river Euphrates dries up, that's when the armies are going to come from the north. That's when the abomination of desolation is going to move into the holy place. We know that though, right? Some of us do. Some of you who are new, you probably don't know that. That's okay. There's a lot of things that have to happen before Yeshua comes back. But, as we can see, the river Euphrates is getting awfully dry. Alright? Verse 44. For the Most High, when he showed signs for them, and held still the flood, till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. That tells me that they were not in the Middle East. That tells me that these 10 tribes did not disperse to Europe. There's doctrine out there that those 10 tribes dispersed to Europe. And Judah are really the people from France. It's out there. Yeah. That's why the Holy Grail, if you watch that movie, the Da Vinci Code, why do you think they had those people in France? Because Judah is supposed to be in France. That's where Jesus' descendants went to. Judah. See, you gotta put 2 and 2 together on these satanic movies, right? So there's no way it takes a year and a half to go from Israel to France. All right, and the same region is called Asareth, which is America. The 13 books of the Apocrypha were removed from the King James Bible in 1885, leaving 66 books. It tells us that 2nd Ezra 13:40-45 is how the northern tribes got to America. Let's kick this off with Gad. But like I say, when I'm doing teachings like this, you always notice that the 10 tribes all look alike.
Some kind of way.
Some kind of way they all look alike. All right, let's get our first scripture, Matthew chapter 10, verses 5 through 6. Well, it's not our first scripture.
Yeshua said,
Matthew chapter 10, verses 5 and 6. Let's read it.
Yeshua sent these 12 out, charging them, saying, do not go into the way of the nations, and do not go into a Samaritan city, but rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Later on, we're going to find out that the Great Commission was Yeshua giving them commission now to go to the Gentiles. But now he's saying, go to the lost sheep of Israel. Take a look at this. So you want to celebrate Thanksgiving, huh? You want to have your turkey, right? Want to have your cranberry sauce.
In the Bible?
It was no more than about 500 years where the settlers came over here and they injected Gad with smallpox through blankets. It was the first wage of chemical warfare against the 12 tribes.
So when the government give you something does not mean it's good for you.
Okay? Smallpox. And they did this right after their so-called Thanksgiving.
Population control.
When we get to Thanksgiving and teaching on Thanksgiving, we're going to find out some things. Alright? But we don't do Thanksgiving here.
That's right.
Alright, current name, North American Indians. Their location is North America, Canada, and they're scattered throughout the regions of the earth. Gad. Right. Gad was the seventh born son of Jacob. His name means true. The word Indian comes from the Latin word indio, meaning slave. They migrated to the Americas about 536 BC during the Persian captivity. Apologize, that should be Assyria, after the Assyrian captivity. Genesis 49:1. Genesis chapter 49, verse 1. And this is a prophecy. Jacob was on his deathbed and he was given a prophecy to all 12 tribes. Okay, we're just going to focus on 3 today. Genesis 49:1. Let's read it.
And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last day.
So, and Israel, Jacob, he was on it. Everything that he prophesied to all 12 tribes is either happening or it happened. Moses did the same thing in Deuteronomy the 33rd chapter. We'll get to that later. Okay? The last days occur from the days of Christ until today. Alright? That's what he meant. Alright, Genesis 49:19. Genesis chapter 49, verse 19. This is a prophecy to Gad from Jacob. Let's read it.
Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last.
So Gad, a troop is going to overcome him. Now, how could that be the causoids who are over there now? What troop has overcame them?
None.
The troop that overcame Gad is the United States Cavalry. Between 1620 and 1890, 77 million of our Gadites were murdered. 77 million. $77 million. Do you know that Gad was almost extinct? They were just down to a couple of thousand people. But he shall overcome at the last. The second coming of Yeshua is how Gad's going to overcome. Just like we all are going to overcome. Revelation 2, 26 and 27. Revelation chapter 2, verses 26 to 27. Gad. Let's read it.
And he that overcometh and keepeth my works until the end, to him will I give power over the nations.
So if you overcome what you're going through on this earth, in Satan's world, then the Most High, Yeshua will give you power over the nations. 27.
And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father.
So he's saying that ye shall rule over them. We're going to rule over them. This is actually talking about the great day of the Lord.
All right.
And their vessels are going to be shattered into broken pieces. When you get iron, you hit it on pottery, what's going to happen? It's going to shatter. We're going to be that iron for those of you who make it. And that potter is going to be the sinners. Okay? And he, that means the Israelites in that scripture. Keeping my words is you got to keep the commandments until the end, which is the second coming of Christ. Okay, to explain that scripture, you got to keep the commandments. If you do not keep the commandments, you're going to be that potter, and somebody else is going to be that iron rod. Just like Jacob, Moses also prophesied to the 12 tribes of Israel. So let's see what Moses said about Gad. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 1. Deuteronomy 33 and 1. Let's read that.
And this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of the Most High, blessed the children of Israel before his death.
So this is the blessing Moses did before he died. So he blessed them when he died. So what did he say about Gad? We're going to break down, because he said a lot about Gad. Okay, we're going to break this down. And we're going to get an understanding. Okay? All right. Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 20 has a few parts to it. So I had to break it up in sections. So Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 20. This is the first part. Let's read it.
And of Gad he said, blessed be he that enlargeth Gad.
Now you probably wouldn't think that don't really mean anything. It means a lot. Blessed is he that enlargeth Gad. The Most High enlarged the tribe of Gad with many sons and daughters, despite what the U.S. cavalry attempted to do. There are over 300 so-called nations of Gad. There's a lot just in Arizona. Okay? So when it says that, it means that the Most High is going to build them up. If you look at the 12 tribes, there is no shortage of them popping out babies. All 12 of the 12, all 12 of them, they can spit out some, the women can spit out some children. Right? Pop, 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 pop. And the world ignorantly calls them, you got them stair steppers? That's ignorant. Because they're doing, the woman and the man is doing what the Most High created them to do in the first place. Hopefully they're married. Right? Let's get the second part of Deuteronomy 33:20. Okay, let's read that.
He dwelleth as a lion.
He dwelleth as a lion. What does that mean? Meaning that they dwell the land like predators, and their nature is as a lion, very fearsome. You don't want to get somebody from Gad, eh?
No, he doesn't.
You don't want to get somebody from Gad, eh?
My grandmother's mother was.
Okay, they'll cut first and ask questions later.
Carried a knife in an axe.
All right, let's get the third part of Deuteronomy 33:20. And let's read that.
And teareth the arm.
And teareth the arm. What does that mean? What that means is that the Indians are known for something called a blood pact. Okay? Where they cut their arm or cut their hands and shake hands to make a blood pact. That's what, this was what Moses was saying. Okay? There's a fourth part to this scripture. Let's get it.
With the crown of the head.
Now who else could that be? Who else can that be?
Oh, it's God. Oh, yeah, I see it.
With the crown on their head. So the scripture is saying that they're going to be a large group of people. They're going to be fearsome. They're going to do blood pacts, and they're going to wear crowns on their heads. Who else does that? Gad. Okay? That represents the crown of feathers the Indians wore. The custom of blood pact brothers was generally done with those who wore unusual crown of feathers to be accepted into the tribe. Okay? Let's go to Deuteronomy 33:20, and we're going to break this scripture down. Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 20. Let's read that.
And he provided the first part for himself.
Now you have to question, what does that mean? And he provided the first part for himself. Now remember, Gad is one of the 10 tribes, right?
Yes.
They came over here to the Americas. Most High stilled the waters for a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
The tribe of Gad took the best part of America for himself. North America is the largest continent, it's the third largest in the world. This is part of Stillifers Columbus was searching for when he called it the mainland. Remember, Stillifers Columbus, he landed right outside of Puerto Rico first. Then he made his way to the Americas, right?
It was already
Our parents was already living there.
But our brothers Ephraim were already there. But to show how rich they were, they didn't even know that they were on the beach playing marbles with diamonds.
Yeah.
They didn't know, but he knew. Hence the name Stillifers Columbus. And that's what we're going to call him from now on. We're not going to call him the other name. Deuteronomy chapter 33, this is the second part of verse 21. Let's read that.
Because there in a portion of the lawgiver was he seated.
You have to understand and know your Bible to understand what this is saying. You have to understand what is going on when Moses is prophesying this. Remember, when Moses was on his deathbed, there was no such thing as Gad going over to the Americas. Right?
Right.
Alright, so the tribe of Gad acted as the priest during the migration to the Americas. Gad was in charge, just like Levi was made the priest, Gad was in charge of being the priest and the lawgivers to the tribes of the northern, to the 10 northern tribes. They were given that responsibility. Now you see why Gad, the 77 million were murdered. Understand that when the Most High gives you a responsibility, if you do not carry that responsibility, you're going to have hell to pay.
There you go.
The Most High gave Gad the responsibility of being the lawgiver and the priest. They failed immediately. All the other 10 tribes just lost their mind. We're going to find out how Issachar lost their mind later. Gad lost their mind.
Right.
All right, we're still at Deuteronomy 33:21. This is the third part. Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 21. This is the third part. Let's read it.
He executed the justice of the Most High and his judgments with Israel.
So he executed justice. Deuteronomy 33:17. Let's get understood. What did I mean by the heads of Ephraim and Manasseh? The so-called Cubans and so-called Puerto Ricans, who are really the bilingual top Indians. Let's read that.
His glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of unicorns. With them he shall push the people together to the ends of the earth, and they are the 10,000 of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh.
So Gad was in charge of the 10 tribes. When it says Ephraim and Manasseh, it's really talking about the 10 northern. Okay? So Gad was in charge of the 10 northern tribes. Gad was the one responsible for the 10 northern tribes and making sure that they kept the law, statutes, and commandments. But Gad was the first to fall. And when you're a leader, then you fall, then all the rest of them fall also. Okay? All right, let's go to the 1 Chronicles chapter 12. And we're going to break part 8 up, verse 8 up. I think we're going to break that up in 2 parts. 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 8. All right, let's read that.
And of the Gadites there separate themselves unto David and to the whole, to the wilderness, men of might. And men of war fit for battle, that could handle shield and buckler, whose faces were like the faces of lions.
Whose faces were like the face of lions. Right? That's what they meant when faces like the face of lions. They painted their faces to get ready to fight. That scared the settlers. They saw that. They're, oh, look at these savages. Look how they painted. Oh, that scared them. We can't fight this directly. So let's immunization them. Let's immunize them. Let's get the smallpox. Let's get the yellow fever going. Because we can't handle that one-on-one.
Depopulation.
We can't control that one-on-one.
No.
Okay? The so-called North American Indians had fearsome faces like lions because they painted their faces with war paint every time they went to battle. They got that from Gad. They got that from their ancestors. That wasn't something that Chief Squatting Bull just sat up there and said, let us put paint on face. They were doing that back in the book of Judges. Okay? The Bible is beautiful. 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 8. This is the second part of that scripture. Okay? Let's read it.
And were as swift as the roes upon the mountains.
Now, if you know what a roe is, that's a small deer. And they're very fast. They are able to move through on mountains very quickly. What about Gad? How does this translate to Gad? Okay. They tricked Gad to go after other tribes. They tricked some of the Gadites to find out where these tribes were. Okay? They even did it to the Buffalo Soldiers. You know who the Buffalo Soldiers are, right?
Yes.
Those who don't know who the Buffalo Soldiers are, somebody explain it. Who are the Buffalo Soldiers?
They were.
Because I heard a lot of people say
Judah?
yes.
Was it Judah or?
Yes.
Was it Judah that fought
Yes.
during? I don't know what war, but they fought during the war. They were like the first that were given. I don't know if you can call it the right, but they fought the Civil Wars. I don't know.
Through the Civil War.
Right.
Buffalo soldiers. We may learn about that during dedication. All right, First Chronicles chapter 5, verse 18. First Chronicles chapter 5, verse 18. And this is very interesting. Let's read this. Go ahead. Come on.
The sons of Reuben and the Gadites and half the tribe of Manasseh of violent men, men able to bear buckler and sword, and to shoot with bow, and skillful in war, were 440,760 that went out to the war.
Now this is very interesting because if you look at these three tribes, you got Seminole Indians, you got Balinquata Indians, and you got the so-called Native American Indians from the Native American Indians from Gad, right? Reuben, you got Seminole Indians. Manasseh, Balinquata or Taino Indians, which are Cubans. But it says something interesting that they're able to shoot with the bow and skillful in war, right? Very interesting. The Stolen Continents. This is by Ronald White. This is on page 235. You know, a lot of the books that are out there, they're written by Edom about our people. Some of Edom understand and know who the 12 tribes are. A lot of them don't, because there's a lot of things that out there that says that they're from France and Luxembourg and all this other crap. But they have never been in slave ships. They have never had where their native language was changed overnight. They never had that. They never were, their land was never robbed of its riches. We'll get into that a little later. All right, Stolen Continents. It appeared that his hands and feet were torn by iron nails. Then said the man, they slew me. So I have gone home and shut the doors of heaven that they may not see me again until the earth passes away. Now it is rumored that you, handsome lady, are put a talker with spirits. Now it is true that I am a spirit of him who was murdered. Now tell your people that they will become lost when they follow the ways of the white man.
Wow. There you go.
Books are very, very educational.
When they say him who was murdered, that is Yeshaya.
Yeah.
Now, is it true? It is true.
Now tell your people that they will become lost when they follow the ways of the white man.
There you go.
Very interesting, huh?
Yeah.
What about smoke signals? That's significant with Gad, right? Making smoke signals.
Yeah.
But is that in the Bible?
Yeah.
Can we find the scriptures that talks about smoke signals in the Bible?
Yeah.
They're pertaining to Gad.
Yep.
Let's go to Judges chapter 20, verse 38. Smoke signals ain't in the Bible. There's no Native Americans in the Bible. Those are all white people. Let's get Judges chapter. White people. Let's get Judges chapter 20, verse 38. Let's read it.
Now there was an appointed sign between men of Israel and the liars and wait, that they should make a great flame with smoke rise up out of the city.
They shall make a great flame with smoke rise up out the city. Smoke signals. Who started that? Israel. Who carried it over to the Americas? Gad. The Bible is more than just a book of stories.
It's not history.
What about fringes?
Yeah.
All right, Numbers chapter 15, verse 38 and 39. One of the few tribes that actually kept fringes. Numbers chapter 15, verse 38 and 39. Okay, let's read.
To the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations.
Throughout their generations. This is to the children of Israel. It's not just to Gad.
And that
Throughout their generations. That means forever. Go ahead.
and that they put upon the fringes of the borders a ribbon of blue.
A ribbon of blue. Got to have that ribbon of blue on your fringes, not ribbon of purple or a ribbon of black. It says ribbon of blue. 39.
And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Most High, and do them, and that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a whoring.
Go a whoring. So that means that you can wear your fringes. Well, I can't, because that look kind of silly wearing fringes. No, you got to wear them. I'm starting to see quite a few brothers now wearing their fringes when I'm on the bus.
Brothers gotta get jobs.
I'm starting to see that. You got to get your fringes. There you go. That boots are so cute. All right, got to get your fringes. Colossians chapter 1, verse 26. Colossians chapter 1, verse 26. And let's read that.
The mystery having been hidden from the ages and from the generations, but now was revealed to his saints.
So this mystery has been hidden from us for a long time.
Too long.
And now it's being revealed. This mystery is being revealed. This mystery is the truth. And it's being revealed all over the place. 3 years ago, half of us in this room would never have imagined about this.
I know I remember.
4 years ago, none of us would have, well, none of us was in this. Okay? But now this thing is starting to go, and now people are starting to wake up. People are starting to get an understanding, slowly but surely. Let's go back to the Old Testament, Genesis 30:11. Even his mother prophesied. Genesis chapter 30, verse 11. All right, let's read that.
And Leah said, a troop cometh, and she called him his name Gad.
That's where she got the name Gad from. She just visioned troops coming. And she called, and they had to do something with her son, so she just called him Gad. Little did Leah know that she was really prophesying about her son, about her son's seed. Let's take a look at this. You know the side curls that those fake Jews wear? They got them from Gad. The braid on the top of the forehead, that's what these fake Jews put the square block on their head. If that guy ain't Gad, I don't know what he is, right? The troops mentioned by land is the U.S. Cavalry. When they came across Gad, they had blankets of smallpox, and this is what happened. Mass graves. Okay? Mass graves all over the place. Alright? Alright, let's get Psalms 55, verse 20 and 21. We all may want to switch up. We're going to get an Old Testament a lot. Psalms chapter 55, verse 20 to 21. Alright, let's read that.
He sent out his hand against his peace and defiled his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Now somebody ministered to me. What is this scripture saying? This is about Gad. So what happened to Gad? Nobody? Alright.
Okay. This is when they came to act like they was making peace with Gad, but really they was only pretending. They planned all along to take over Gad's land
Right.
and kill their people.
So what does it mean when it says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter?
All the promises that they did to him.
They promised them protection if they give them part of their land.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but who did they need protection from?
Right.
They need protection from the settlers, that's for sure. Concerning the true descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the 12 tribes of the northern Israel scattered throughout the earth, scholars have lied about them. Schools, universities keep their lies going. The tribes they either say they're just lost,
Yeah.
and there's no finding them, they're extinct, or they'll say, well, they kind of migrated to Europe, and they kind of went into France and Germany and Luxembourg and Denmark. So that's where the 12 tribes have originated from, and then they went back over to Israel, and that's where they are now.
You sound like
Let's get a scripture for the universities and the school system. Job 9:24. Let's read it.
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Gentlemen, you want to highlight that scripture because we use that during street preaching. Okay? Alright, so the 12 tribes of Israel have been lied by false preachers, false teachers that are not going according to what the Most High says. We are the children of the Most High. It's time to return. Our brothers with the fringes, with the headdress on. Imagine seeing hundreds of that, and you're a white settler with that big stupid musket gun. And you see this coming your way.
That's his head.
That's a big
Those my
bird.
brothers.
And you know they went back and down. They was going straight for him.
Correct. Issachar, Yash, the Shakakar. Yashakakar.
Yashakar.
Yashakar.
Yashakar. Yashakar. That's Hebrew for Issachar. Okay, Issachar is the so-called Mexicans. Let's learn something. Let's get Genesis chapter 30, verse 17 and 18. The birth of Issachar. Genesis chapter 30, verse 17 and 18. And Leah again is prophesying about her son. Let's read it.
And the Most High hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived and bare Jacob the 5th son. And Leah said, the Most High hath given me my hire.
Giving me my what?
Hire.
Go ahead.
Because I have given my maiden to my husband, and she called his name Issachar.
Have given me my hire. What does that mean?
So the mother
We're gonna find
Issachar
out.
was a maiden.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about the donkey. On the Issachar emblem for the Israelites, their emblem is the donkey, right?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, the donkey represents the tribe of Issachar. Issachar means he is higher. His name is symbolic for his personality, character, blessing to perform labor, and tasks like no other people. The donkey has served man for thousands of years. The donkey is better at carrying loads and are most sure-footed on mountains and trails. Heavy labor are done by donkey. In the Old Testament, a large number of donkeys meant wealth. That's where they ended up. We all know this, right? I don't know where Mexicans ended up at, or so-called Mexicans. I know where Issachar ended up at.
I know, because they was pushed in the corner and told not to cross their own border.
Maybe
All right? So they're hard-working people. Let's read Genesis chapter 49, verse 14 and 15. Genesis chapter 49, verses 14 and 15. We're going to read this twice because we're going to break down the scripture later. Let's read it.
Issachar is a strong ass couching down between two burdens. And he saw that the rest was good, and the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute.
We're going to break this scripture down. We're going to figure out, well, how are you saying, I don't believe that Issachar are actually the so-called Mexicans. You're going to have to prove it to me. Okay.
All right.
I'll prove it to you with this and other scriptures. Right?
On.
All right, that's supposed to be siesta, so don't make fun of it. Okay? Siestas and they work the land, right? All right, so now the tribe of Issachar now lives in upper Central America, which is called Mexico. They are of Aztec descendants. Okay? They're not from Spain. They weren't created in Mexico. They came from Israel.
That's
Okay.
right.
But they are of Aztec descendants. Alright? The Aztec nose. If you look at ancient pictures from Mexico, and I apologize because I don't have pictures, but there is something that we're going to have to use Wi-Fi for. We're going to have to use data for, because there's something I want to show. There's two things I want to show. Alright, so the ancient Indian people of Mexico had a distinct nose that considered a trademark and physical appearance to set them apart from other peoples. So if you look at the artwork, you see that they have like this big nose for some reason on a lot of their artwork. Okay? It's not that all of them have big honkers, but the nose is very big. Like black people's nose are very nostril-ized, big, but then it's big. Okay, and you'll see that in their art. Okay? There's a remnant of Aztec Issachar that separated themselves from the mixing and marrying the Spanish. There are other Indian groups in Mexico that are offspring of the Aztecs who are the lost sheep of Israel. And I have proof that that the Aztecs are Israelites. And they carved it in a mountain. We're going to get to that later. I have proof. So now I'm even at Mexico.
What does that even mean?
It is very hard for Gad and Issachar and Judah. It is very, very hard to advise them that they are Israelites.
See, I think the problem with that is that you tell Issachar they're another race other than their own, like for them to believe. They think of it as, Issachar and as well as Gad, they won their wars, they went to battle, they're very brave and rich. They think you're taking that from them. Like you tell them there's somebody else, it's like, but no. But that's why they're so, well, pride is not good, but like they're so prideful of where they come from. That's why Issachar is so prideful of whom they are, because believing they won their independence, how they did, like their battles as they did, how they fought for what they wanted. But telling them there's something else or someone whom they really are, because they made me feel like that, like, why are you taking whom I am from? Like, you grew up very proud of where you come from, of everything you have accomplished so far. So I think there's that misunderstanding.
Let's see what Issachar himself had to say about his people later. We got the 12 patriarchs of the 12 tribes. So let's see what Issachar had to say about his own sons and daughters. We'll see that in a little bit. Issachar is the father of the Issacharites, was blessed with the blessing of husbandry. I'm going to explain what husbandry is. And farming, understanding the times and seasons for the cause of planting and harvesting the earths of the fruit. We have scripture to back that up. Husbandry means soil, country, earth, land, the ground itself cultivated. When we first moved here, there was an old Issachar, and we had grass. That's at the time we had grass, we didn't have rocks. So he came over, your garden is messed up. Well, yeah, I know. I was out there trying to fix it. Look, your yard is messed up. And he climbed over the fence.
Almost
he got his hands. He's about 70. And he started doing this with his hands. And all of a sudden, that patch was gone.
Yeah. He was doing
just like, I don't know. He was like, let me do this real quick.
And see, where I'm from, like in Yuma, you see a lot of people that work in the agriculture. It's like the capital of like lettuce and stuff, lettuce periods. And all you see is Issachar working in the fields. And Issachar move, like, you have to count 3 lettuce heads shop off the board when they're like really small little plants. And they just go and go and go and go. Like, you see them walking like from 5 in the morning and just like from fields to fields to fields to fields to fields. Like, if you don't know how to work in a field, older people will be behind them a little part of you, but they're just like, and like you can see like growth of the fruits. It's like,
let's get to 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 32. This scripture is why Issachar failed. I'm going to show you in a minute. 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 32. Let's read it.
And the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times to know what Israel ought to do, the heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their command.
So Issachar understood, had an understanding of the times. Okay. I want you to hold that thought, because I'm going to explain that later. And I'm going to show you how and why Issachar failed based off of this scripture. But let's see what Issachar himself had to say about his children. This is the testament of Issachar, who's the 5th son of Jacob and Leah. This is from the book, the 12 Patriarchs. Okay? For no portion is given to you the fatness of the earth, whose fruits you shall raise. And Issachar himself on his deathbed. Okay? It says, know ye therefore, my children, that in the last times you son will forsake singleness and cleave to insatiable desires. They will forsake the commandments of the Most High and follow Beliar, the devil. They will follow their own wicked devices and shall be dispersed among the Gentiles and shall serve their enemies. This is Issachar on his deathbed.
I know you're done with that.
Okay? This is Issachar on his deathbed.
That's your question.
What does that mean?
She has a question.
For no part, what does it mean? Can you break it down to me?
What is what mean?
What you read?
The whole thing?
Yeah. Like what is it? What is
Okay, so the land was given, the gift of working the land was given to Issachar. That's the fatness of the earth, whose fruits you shall raise and toil. Agriculture. Very good at agriculture. That was a gift given by the Most High to Issachar and throughout his seed. Therefore, my children, that in the last times, we're in the last times, you will forsake singleness. That means you're going to forsake the Most High and you're going to go after multiple gods. Okay? It says you will cleave to insatiable desires. Drinking. Okay? Issachar can drink.
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
Alright? Insatiable desires. And will forsake the commandments of the Most High. That's obvious. And follow Satan. Follow Catholicism. That's Satan. Right? Follow their own wicked devices. Their own wicked devices is that when Issachar came to Mexico, they were following the Most High at first. But then something changed. And they started getting an understanding of the signs of the times. So they started creating sun calendars.
Worshiping the sun.
They started worshiping the sun. They forgot about the Most High. And then, of course, if you're going to worship the sun, well, the sun is going down. There's the moon. They start worshiping the moon. Then they start having several gods. Corn god, tree god, land god, fertile god. All kinds of gods are popping up. The movie Apocalypto is about Issachar. Okay? We're going to talk about that a little later. Alright, and it says that that Issachar shall be dispersed among the Gentiles. The Gentiles are the Spanish and Portuguese who came over to Mexico. And they shall serve them. Let's see what else Issachar said on his deathbed. Let's see what else Issachar said on his deathbed. This is from chapter 1 of the 12 Patriarchs. Issachar said that they will bow down your back unto husbandry, and toil in labors, and all manner of husbandry, offer gifts unto power of Israel with thanksgiving. For the first fruits of the land will the power of Israel bless you, even as he blessed all the saints, from Abel until now. For no other portion is given to you than the fatness of the earth, which fruits are raised by toil. For Jacob, our father, blessed me with blessings of the earth and first fruits.
Okay, now can you explain that?
This is a blessing part. This is saying if you follow the Most High with the husbandry, work in the field, labor, work in the field, the Most High is going to bless the land. He's going to bless you and increase the land. And he says that Jacob, his father, blessed him. Remember, we read that. No, we haven't got to that yet in Genesis, the 49th chapter. We're going to get to that in a minute. But Jacob blessed Issachar with the earth and the first fruits. And I'm going to show you that blessing in Genesis the 49th chapter. So Issachar is saying, you will be blessed, but there's a condition. Okay? There's a condition. What else did Issachar say? Let's go to chapter 2 of the Testaments of Issachar. Because he gave them a warning. And this is what he said. And after leaving husbandry, that means after leaving what the Most High has gifted you to do, they will follow after their own devices and shall be dispersed among the Gentiles and shall serve the Gentiles, the Spanish and the Portuguese. And do you therefore these commandments to you, children, that they sin, that they may move toward a higher, they shall turn quickly towards to a higher thy power, for he is merciful and will deliver them, even bring them back to their way. Now, Issachar had no idea, or wasn't around, when the 10 tribes were dispersed to Mexico. So how would he know that they're going to come back to their own land? Prophesied. He prophesied it.
Yes,
It's common sense. It's right there. But a lot of people have not read the 12 patriarchs. There's a lot of people who don't even know that there's a book called the 12 Patriarchs.
Okay.
But when you're in this truth, all these books and
That's one of
everything
those books y'all want to read.
are very profound.
We had.
Oh, there's a lot more that Issachar says. But, I mean, we will be here for a minute. Okay? The Aztec calendar. This calendar is called the sunstone, mostly used to predict solar eclipses. It also was so precise that it was able to predict rain. You see those big sun things? And it has the sun in the middle, and it has all kinds of images on the outside. That was the sun calendar. And remember, in First Chronicles, it said that they would be used for observed times. Yes. Those were the Mayans. That was Zebulun. Okay? All right. The Aztec Mexicans turned their blessings of husbandry and used it for their wicked devices. Let's get Deuteronomy 18. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 9 through 14. No, Deuteronomy 18, 9 through, should be 9 through 9 and 10. Okay, let's read that.
When thou art come into the land which Ahijah thy power giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observance of time, or an enchanter, or a witch.
That's what they fell into. They had created that big old sun calendar, and they fell into divination, observer of times, because that calendar was so accurate, it predicted when the rain was coming. That's an observer of times. Enchanter or witch. Because the Most High put a spirit on them where they would be able to know this. Yeshaya said you can tell when it's about to rain, but you can't tell when the coming of the Son of Man is. He knew what he was talking about because Issachar had that gift from the Most High. Because in order to work the land, you have to know what's going on with the weather. You have to know what's going on with the earth. So there was a gift that was given from the Most High through Jacob to Issachar.
The Most High gifted us with a lot of things.
Correct.
Judah was.
We'll have a teaching on the gifts of the 12 tribes.
Judah was
And why each tribe is so important and what gifts each tribe was blessed with. Okay? We gotta eat, right? What about fighting? How did they fight? A couple of wars that went on, right? Let's get Numbers chapter 2. Numbers chapter 2, verses 1 through 5. And I'm not going through the whole chapter, through the whole couple of chapters. This is just a start. But there was a battle against the Amalekites. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's start it. Numbers chapter 2, verse 1 through 5. Let's read it.
And Ahiah thy power spoke unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, Every man of the children of Israel shall pitch by his own standard with the ensign of their father's house. Far off about the tabernacle of the congregation shall they pitch. And on the east side toward the rising of the sun shall they of the standard of the camp of Judah pitch throughout their armies. And Nahshon, the son of Amminadab, shall be captain of the children of Judah.
Now, I'm going to point out something right here really quick. Judah and Issachar has been tied since the beginning. For a long time. Judah, Issachar, and there was a few others were in cahoots when they threw Joseph down that well.
No, it's not funny, but you know.
Okay, so they've been tied together for a while. Why am I bringing this up? Let's go to verse 4.
And his hosts and those that were number of them were 314,600.
And who was next to him? Read.
And those that did pitch next unto him shall be the tribe of Issachar, and
Let's tell something. I don't know. Go ahead.
And Nethnil, the son of Zuar, shall be captain of the children of Issachar.
Now, if you read later on, the Judah and Issachar and someone else, they went into battle to fight the Amalekites. Okay, and they won. Who helped Deborah out? Who was it that helped Deborah out?
That was Judah, right?
Let's see. Judges chapter 5, verses 14 and 16. What tribe was Deborah from?
Who's Deborah?
She was a judge.
Let's read Judges chapter 5, verse 14 and 16.
Out of Ephraim was there a root of them against Amalek, and the Benjamin among the people. Out of Machar came down governors, and out of Zebulun they that handled the pen of the writer. And the princes of Issachar were with Deborah, even Issachar and also Barak. He was sent on foot into the valley for the divisions of Reuben. There were great thoughts of heart. Why abidest thou among the sheepfolds to hear the bleating of the flocks? For the divisions of Reuben there were great searching of the heart.
So this is a start. Remember, this is a start where Deborah is gathering men up to fight. And there was a certain king named Shishak who they were looking to kill. But Shishak came upon somebody named Jael. Jael took the tent peg and spiked him in the head. That's a whole nother story. Jael is from Issachar. Okay? Deborah, Issachar. Barak, her husband, Issachar. Get an understanding? You have to understand and know your history in order to be able to understand why you're going through what you're going through. Deborah was a huge judge. In fact, Deborah was one of the more famous judges. She was a woman. All right. What happened? Issachar began to serve many gods, goddesses, and deities. The Most High warned them against serving other gods. Issachar also practiced human sacrifice as part of their religion. Whenever something important would happen, start building a war or building a temple, they would sacrifice hundreds of people to their gods. That's what that movie Apocalypto was about. That was solely Issachar. That's about Issachar and what happened to him. Human sacrifice was forbidden, an abominable sin that the so-called Mexicans worked against the Most High. The judgment came from the Most High. What judgment came? The conquistadors. Just like with Judah, when we were in Africa with bones in our noses and we started sacrificing our own people, the Most High said, "Oh, you're gonna do that? Okay, here come the ships from Egypt, America." Gad was supposed to be the lawgivers. They were supposed to keep the commandments and keep the other 10 tribes in line. They failed because they started calling on numerous gods, and they failed because they started to separate themselves. I'm Pima, I'm Hopi, I'm this, I'm that, I'm Cherokee. More proud of that than what they are being with the Most High. And they started following other gods, and they failed. Here come the settlers. The Most High used the Gentile nations ever since the beginning to keep us in line. That's a shame. Let's get Genesis 49:14. It's the prophecy of Issachar when Jacob was on his deathbed. Genesis chapter 49, verse 14. And it's easy to say, well, if I was back then, I wouldn't be doing that. Yes, you would. And you're probably doing a little more. Genesis 49:14, let's read.
Issachar is a strong ass couching down between two birds.
Remember I said earlier, we're going to break this scripture down. So it is a strong ass. That means in Mexico, the ass is a symbol of the burro, which is a national symbol. The burro is amazingly strong and has a small frame. The average height for an Issachar male is 5'4".
Wow.
That's the average height for someone from Issachar. But they're strong. They're very strong.
Yeah, it's true. My dad's only like 5'7" and
Oh, he's tall then.
and like he carries this. It's like more than a quarter. They're like the wand, the Shirok things. They're really really heavy. He just mounts it on his shoulders.
Yeah.
He's like so small.
Crouching down between two burdens. Crouching, the Hebrew meaning is to recline or fall down and lie rest. Burden means to rub or wear away friction, to wear down the spirit to stick out. This is referring to the long hours and low wages the so-called Mexicans are known for working. A few examples of the tribe of Issachar burdens: work 10 to 15 hours a day cleaning floors, washing dishes, sweatshops, all for low-paying jobs with little or no medical benefits. The NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, is attempting to relocate many businesses to Mexico. They're already doing it. All these companies now are starting to go to Mexico for cheap labor, and they don't have to pay any type of insurance. They're doing it already. Okay? But this is the curse, because Issachar told his children, follow the commandments. Be happy with what the Most High has given you, that gift of agriculture. Don't go off and do other things. Genesis 49:15.
And he saw that the rest was good, and the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulders to bear, and became a servant unto tribute.
Okay, there's three things that we have to break down in this scripture. The first one is that he saw that rest was good. We already know what that is. Siestas, right?
They've even traded that for lunch. They've adapted the lunch hour from Edomites to their own Hispanic culture.
So it's called lunche.
It's called lonche. Yeah, we don't It's a new.
And the land, it was pleasant. We've talked about that numerous times. Okay, Issachar holds dear to the tradition or custom of called siesta. Siesta is a midday or afternoon rest, as taken in Central and South America in the hot countries about the 6th hour. We all know that the 6th hour in the Bible is noon. And he bowed his shoulder to bear and became a servant to tribute. Tribute means tax or form of forced labor. Issachar bowed the shoulder to bear, meaning serve. 1540, Hernan Cortes, a conquistador from Spain, had 27,000 Aztec slaves, while notorious cruel Alvarado had 20,000. In total, the 30 highest ranking conquistadors claimed 180,000 Mexican slaves who were forced to pay tribute of gold, silver, herbs, and spices. Today, they are well known as hard workers, but for little money. That means they are served a servant unto tribute. Hosea chapter 8, verse 14. Hosea chapter 8, verse 14. All right, let's read it.
For Israel hath forgotten his maker and builded temples, and Judah hath multiplied fenced cities. But I will send a fire upon his cities, and it shall devour the palaces thereof.
Okay, so that border don't matter. In time, both the Aztecs and Mayans forgot the Most High of Israel. They built cities to whatever that is, and whatever that is, the rain god and the god Chak, etc. So they had several days. They have a holiday called the Day of the Dead, which if you look up the Day of the Dead, it goes all the way back to Babylon. Which everything else goes all the way back to Babylon. Okay?
Yeah,
That is very bad.
Evil.
All right? But what about the Aztecs and the Mayans? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 18 and 19. This is Moses on his deathbed, prophesying to Zebulun and Issachar at the same time. And I'm explaining this in a minute. Let's read it.
And of Zebulun he said, Rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tent. They shall call the people unto the mountains, and they shall call the people unto the mountains. There they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness, for They shall suck of the abundance of the seas and of treasures hid in the land, in the sand.
Let me explain this. Zebulon we know are who?
Guatemalans and Panamanians.
Guatemalans and Panamanians. So what happened is that Zebulon and Issachar, they're in the same area, Mexico, or in Central America, right? So what would happen is that during the holy days when they were keeping them, because they soon stopped, what would happen is that Zebulon would call out to Issachar with the shoulders. Issachar would come up the mountains to meet with Zebulon. And they would be together for the feast days. Okay? And this would happen every feast day. Zebulon would have the trumpets and they would blow in the mountains, and Issachar would come up the mountains. And they would offer sacrifices of righteousness. But that soon stopped. Because somebody got a little big-headed of themselves.
Yeah.
Who was?
Actually, it was both. Judah, Yahweh.
Yeah.
The biggest fathers.
Right.
So we went to Gad, 77 million. Issachar, about 50 million. Killed. Okay? The so-called Negroes. Now notice we don't look nothing like Canaanites. Okay? Alright, this would be the tribe where Yeshua would come from. Drugs were used to pacify Judah. Projects were used to quiet Judah. So why are you hated so much? John 15:18.
If the world hates you, you know that it has hated me before you.
It has hated me before you. 2nd Esdras chapter 6 verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. We know that Esau is the end.
How do we know
Jacob
that?
is the beginning. Because Esau, their reign on this planet is soon coming to an end. The tribe of Judah has been the most hated since the beginning. 70 AD, the children of Israel fled into the Atlas Mountains of Africa. We're missing something. Something was missing out of Issachar. I'm going to have to remember. Something is missing out of Issachar. There's a mountain in New Mexico. There's a bottom, in the bottom of the mountain, there's an artifact from New Mexico. And it has the 10 tribes, it has the 10 commandments written in Hebrew.
Oh, yeah.
And, well, New Mexico used to be Mexico anyway. But it has it inscribed from, I think it's from 1100 AD. Long before the conquistadors came over. So, we'll get that, I'll get that to you all and you can look at it and research. Matthew 24:15-16.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet, by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
So Yeshua was given a prophetic message. The Romans are going to come and they're going to really put the hammer. You all better flee. Also, he's giving a prophetic message of the abomination of desolation, which we know is who?
The Pope.
The Pope. When the Pope moves into the holy place, which is Jerusalem, we better be out of here.
So that's what they're doing. They're going to build a third temple. That's what they're doing.
They already got the garments and the clothes for the high priest. They already got that stuff set up. They're just waiting to eradicate the Muslims that are over there now and move in.
Yeah, they got the, like, Solomon's temple. They had all the gold cups and all that. They got all that already made. They just waiting to move in because the Muslim has their temple there.
Right, the Rock of the Dome. So, once they get the
Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried and our hope is lost. We are cut off from our parts.
Cut off from our parts, verse 12.
Therefore, prophesy and say unto them, thus saith the power of Israel, behold, O my people, I will open your graves.
Open up those graves.
And cause you to come out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel.
Christianity is a grave.
Yes, it is.
Christianity is a deficit.
Yes, it is.
You prophesied to those Christians, and now you didn't breathe life into them when they're not in their caskets anymore. Verse 13.
And ye shall know that I am power of Israel. And I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves.
Every single one of you have been was in a grave. Whether you were in the apostolic church, whether you were in the Christian church, or whether you were just a dang old heathen.
Yep.
All of you were brought out of the grave.
Praise the higher.
The Most High had to breathe sinews and flesh. Sinews mean tendons. Sinews and flesh on your body.
Praise the higher.
The word. You were still dead because you couldn't. Wait a minute. I heard Jesus all this time.
Praise the
Wait a
higher.
minute. I heard we were supposed to tithe. Wait a minute. I heard we were supposed to do this and do that. I heard it was okay to drink wine.
Oh, no.
You start hearing all this stuff. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. And then you having some overweight guy giving you scripture after scripture after scripture after scripture. Let's read. 14.
And shall put my spirit in you.
Got
And
the
ye,
spirit of a higher in you now. Go ahead.
and ye shall live.
You are able to live. And when I say live, that means you have eternal life. Go ahead.
And I shall place you in your own land.
Go ahead.
Then shall ye know that I am power of Israel, have spoken and performed it, saith power of Israel.
Saith the power of Israel. You all were once dead.
Shema.
You all were dead.
Yeah.
Dead bones. Some of you even look like you are a corpse.
Khan.
But then you came in here. And you thought these people are nuts.
Of course they did.
Don't lie. No, I didn't do that. You're a liar. Like oh, these people, something wrong with them. Ahia, Yeshaya. You're gonna see somebody who you never even saw before in your life. What? They saying, what's wrong with these people? They nuts.
It was just y'all dry bones waking up.
It was the dry bones. You were a skeleton.
Yeah.
Now you're a full flesh body that stinks. Negroes in America are the offspring of the tribe of Judah. Most of these Negroes use their amazing skills and abilities for world and wickedness. Hip hop and rap music was created by Young Judah. Now everybody. Young Judah created hip hop and rap. Now you got Chinese people.
Yeah, you surely do.
Yeah.
Rapping and sagging their pants.
Now you got Esau rapping and sagging their pants.
Even to their old men.
Yup.
Judah were the gladiators of ancient Rome. Judah has the greatest athletes in the world. And I'm not saying this just to say something about other athletes, because he can swim real good. But Judah, when it comes to the sports, football, baseball, no, not baseball, because the so-called Latinos got us in baseball. Become the football and basketball, that's us. Latino, the so-called Latino Hispanics, they're a little better at baseball though. Ministry and gospel music, like gospel music, Judah praised the wrong God better than anybody else. Entertainment, sports, comedy, they all have sold out. Here's a list of false shepherds for you.
Eddie Roll.
Eddie Long.
Eddie Roll.
Yes, Eddie Long.
TD
Liking boys. TD Snakes. Create a flow dollars. Create a flow of dollars.
That ain't his real name.
Al Sharp.
God's name, that's not his real name.
Yeah, I know. Al, I got a perm Sharp. Jesse, I'm a pervert Jackson. All of these. 90% of them, and I'm gonna tell you something. Every single one of them are Freemason.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. Everyone who you think is so-called leader in the black community, they're all Freemason. All of them.
And what is that again?
Freemason? We'll get into that next week. Freemasonry is what this country was built on.
It's a
Cult. It's a cult.
New World Order.
It's demonic. New World Order.
They all going to hell.
97% of Negroes are not even interested in their Shia. Alright? Let's go back to Genesis 49. And let's get the second part of verse 8. Okay, let's read that.
Thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies.
That means that the real Jews would live and reside with those who took them captive. Judah lives with the Caucasian race that brought them into slavery. Thy neck is under thy hand. Meaning, they have a hand on your neck. You're still in slavery now. I go to work every day, and I'm in slavery.
Slaves with a walking permit.
There you go. Genesis 49 verse 8. This is the third part of Genesis 49:8. Let's read it.
Thy father's children shall bow down before thee.
This is a prophecy that started when Yeshua was born and will be fulfilled when he returns. That's after the 10 tribes, after the tribes split and rebelled against David and split apart. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 12 verse 7. Zechariah 12 and 7. Let's read it.
Ahijah thy power also shall send the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah.
So the Most High is going to raise up Judah first. We're going to be the ones, we're the ones who are out there street preaching. We're the ones who's out there carrying the word of the Most High Ahijah. He's going to do it to us first. Then he's going to get the other 11 tribes, and they're going to come with Judah, not under the submission of Judah, but under the tutelage of Judah. Okay? The majority of the lighter tribes hatred towards the dark. That's obvious. Let's get Matthew chapter 15, verse 22 to 24. Matthew 15, 22 to 24. Let's read that.
And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she crieth after us. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
There you go. He is only sent toward the lost sheep of Israel. The Gentiles will come later. I'll show you that in a minute. The scripture says that Yeshua came to his people first. Anything else is a lie. He also said salvation was just for the Jews. Let's get a precept. John 4:22.
You worship, you know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews.
Salvation is of the Jews. Salvation is of Judah. In order for the other tribes to understand that, Judah has to get themselves together first. Alright, let's get back to Genesis chapter 49, verse 9. We read Genesis 49 and 8. Now, what else did Jacob say? Let's read it.
Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he crushed as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up?
Who shall do that? The children of Judah is the offspring of some of the greatest and powerful people that ever lived. Judah were fierce warriors from King David to Judas Maccabee. You need to really read the book of Maccabees. I highly recommend it. King David. So when you want to know about our history, look at the Bible. Look at the mighty warriors of David and see what they did. Okay? Judah become dormant, passive. They're content with slavery life. The younger Judah is crouched down only to rip apart. When it says the young lion is crouched down, it's because these young lions want to rip apart what an Israelite is. I ain't no Israelite, I'm a black man. Okay? The old lion has been so persecuted that they just can't get up no more. Okay? The old lion, who shall rise him up? Meaning the next generation of Israelites, which are you all, and they are waking up. Genesis 49 and 10. Let's read that.
The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come, and until him shall the gathering of the people be.
Alright, so we know that scepter means kingship, and the lawgiver refers to priesthood. Yeshua kingship will rule forever, and Shiloh is Yeshua. Okay? Alright, 49 and 11. Let's find out what this means. All of this is pertaining to Judah. Genesis 49 and 11.
Binding his foal unto vine, and his ass's colt unto the choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes.
That's blood. Okay? Let's get precept. Isaiah 63, verses 1 through 3. Isaiah chapter 63, verse 1 through 3. And let's find out, what is this wine? What does he wash his garments with wine? His clothes with the blood of grapes? What is that? Let's read it.
Who is this who comes from Edom with dyed garments from
Bozrah?
This one adorned in his clothing, bending in his great power. It is I speaking in righteousness, greatness to say.
Greatness to say, verse 2.
Who knows why your clothing is red and your garments like one treading in the winepress?
When Yeshua comes back, his garments are even when he comes down, they're going to be white. When he's done, they're going to be red. Blood. Verse 3.
I have trodden the winepress, I alone, and no man of the peoples was with me. And I will tread them in my anger and trample them in my fury. And their juice shall be spattered on my garments, and I will pollute all my clothes.
There you go. Ouch. That's what he's going to do when he comes back. And those who are not following the law, statutes, and commandments, you are going to be part of verse 3. I don't want to be part of verse 3. I don't want my juice being splattered on his garment, and then he's saying my juice is polluting his clothes. Come on now. This
right.
prophecy was fulfilled in Matthew 21, 1 through 9, Mark 11, 1 through 10, Luke 19, 29, 38, John 12, 12 through 16. One of you gentlemen, I know you got your Bible. Let's go to John 12. And let's read that. John 12, 12 through 16.
John 12, what?
John 12, 12 through 16.
On the next day, much people that were come to the feast, when they heard that Yeshua was coming to Jerusalem, took branches of palm trees and went forth to meet him, and cried, Hosanna! Blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord. And Yeshua, when he had found a young ass, sat thereon, as it is written, Fear not, daughter of Zion. Behold, thy king cometh, sitting on an ass's colt. These things understood not his disciples at the first, but when Yeshua was glorified, then remembered that these things were written of him, and that they had done these things unto him.
There you go. His garments are going to be washed in blood according to Revelation chapter 19, verse 13 and 15. All right, let's go to Genesis 49, 12. This scripture is so misinterpreted, it's not even funny. Let's interpret it. Genesis 49, 12. Let's read it.
His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk.
Now, they teach that his eyes like wine because he drinks a lot of wine, and his teeth is white as milk because he likes wine. This is what your Israelite groups are teaching.
Wow.
But what does that really mean? The red means that he is angry against those who reject him. The teeth shows his pure sanctification. No false doctrine comes out of Yeshua's mouth. So that's why his teeth are white. He's angry because of what this world has done to his image and his name. They hijacked his name and his image just like they do us. They said that he's a white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed man with flowing hair.
Show me that.
Revelation 1, 14, 15.
His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters.
His voice, the sound of many waters. That don't look like Jesus to me. That don't look like some blonde-haired, blue-eyed, effeminate sissy. Romans 11.
For I spake to you Gentiles, inasmuch as I am the apostle of the Gentiles, I magnify mine own office. If by any means I may provoke to emulation them which are my flesh, and might save some of them. For if the casting away of them be the reconciling of the world, what shall the receiving of them be but life from the dead?
Life from the dead. The first fruits, verse 16.
For if the first fruits be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches.
So what's that saying? If Yeshua is holy and we're following Yeshua, then the elders that are following Yeshua are holy. Then the people who are following the elders are holy. It's all there.
Y'all hear that?
17.
People are holy.
And if some of the branches be broken off and torn, being a wild olive tree, with
Word grafted.
were grafted in among them, and with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree. Boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee.
So that means, yes.
Oh, I was like, oh.
So that means that these branches, you need to start to grow. You're going to be pruned, broken up. You're going to be wild, but you're grafted in. We boast not against the branches, meaning that you all, I can't sit up there and say yes.
When it says boast not against the branches,
Right.
I thought that meant since the Most High have given Esau authority over us, that means that they were not to boast against having authority over us.
That's not what that means.
Oh, okay.
That's not what that scripture means. We read that from the beginning to show.
Well, I speak to you Gentiles. That's what I thought it meant.
But read, we're going back. Read verse 16.
For if the first fruits be holy, the lump is also holy.
So who's the first fruit?
Us.
No, who's the first fruit?
Yeshaya.
Yeshaya. The lump is us. The root, go ahead.
And if the root be holy, so are the branches.
So are the branches. So it's not, it is speaking on the Gentiles, but it's not speaking about the Gentiles. Okay? Anybody, it can speak on anyone. If Yeshaya is the first fruits is holy, then the roots are holy. Who are the roots? Who can only bring the message? The Gentiles can't bring the message.
But it said they were grafted in. That's why I thought it meant the
They're
Gentiles.
grafted in.
Yeah.
But who's the first fruit? Yeshaya. Who is the root? His elders. Who are the branches? Everybody else. Gentiles included. You get it? No? Alright, verse, where were we? Verse 19.
Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off that I might be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief they were broken off.
Because of unbelief they were broken off, go ahead.
And thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if the Most High spared not the natural branches...
Read that part again. For the Most High did what?
For if the Most High spared not the natural branches...
Who are the natural branches?
Us.
Pause. We better get to the wilderness. We better get our bug out bags and find something.
Bug out.
Bug out. But of course, if you being asinine and not following the law, statutes, commandments, and you just being stupid, and that's not gonna happen. The Pope ain't gonna leave the Vatican. You're gonna be left.
The Pope is doing the
Left
best.
behind.
It's gonna be destroyed.
Right.
New clothes ain't gonna be new clothes.
All right, the lion is the. Did I skip something? Yes, I did. The Negro slaves brought to America are the descendants of the Jews that fled into Africa from Israel from 1500 to 1870. 90 million of our people were murdered or killed. The lion is a symbol of Judah. Judah or Yahweh means praise the Most High or praise. Lion is the king of the beast, symbol of strength. Yeshaya is called the King of Kings.
King of Kings.
Deuteronomy 33:7.
Yeshaya.
Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 7. Let's read it.
And this is the blessing of Judah. And he said, Hear, Lord, hear, Ahiah, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou and help to him from his enemies.
Okay. Satan used other Gentile nations of the world to persecute the seed of Jacob. Through this oppression, Judah were scattered throughout the world. They lost their ancient knowledge as being the seed of Jacob. All right, let's go through some scriptures. Deuteronomy 28:15.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Ahiah thy power, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So if we don't, and we've had this teaching, we've had this part of teaching before, but I want to bring this up again. You have to do all of his commandments. You have to keep all of his statutes. You have to keep all of his laws. This 600, that's too many. No, it ain't.
600.
Okay? All right, Deuteronomy 28:27.
Ahiah thy power will smite thee with botch of Egypt, and those emeralds with the scab, and with the itch whereof thou cannot be healed.
Sickle cell anemia, disease, AIDS,
Ebola.
yes, all that stuff that were man-made.
What's
They were made by Edom.
what's the itch that comes out of you?
It's disease.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think of what disease would that be.
Deuteronomy 28:32. These scriptures cannot go for any other tribe but for Judah. Okay? There is not a disease that only this group of people can have through the blood. But remember when they said, let his blood be on us and our children. So therefore, now we have sickle cell to deal with. All right, Deuteronomy 28:32.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thy eyes shall look and fail, with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand.
Now let's explain something. Issachar, their children was just murdered. Their children was just murdered. The Spaniards didn't want their children. They wanted the women. They want the men to work and the women to bear babies.
Come on.
The children, we don't have no use for them. Gad, the same thing.
Yep.
Gad, they take the children, bam, bash them on the rocks. Because they didn't want to get their knives dull from stabbing them. Judah, what happened is that in slavery, the woman pop out a baby. Ooh, we can get $500 for that nigga. And the woman, my baby. You better shut up, you wench. That's what they did.
Yeah.
The man is sitting back even more powerless. If he even look, he's looking like this. Because if he even looked at the slave master while he's taking his baby away, you get lashed.
Well,
You look like Gordon does. I don't think we have a picture of Gordon, do we? No, we don't. You look like Gordon, that famous picture of the slave with the marked up back.
There we go.
yeah.
Gordon, right here. You look like him.
It's a scripture said the Most High put a spirit of fear in them. So that's why they wouldn't fight back either.
Deuteronomy 28:37. Actually, Deuteronomy 28:37 can fall for all 12 tribes. Let's read it.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither Ahiah thy power shall lead thee.
No matter what you think, Negro American is a byword. African American is a byword. Black American is a byword. Nigga is a byword. Spick is a byword. Beaner is a byword. Mexican is a byword. All that are bywords.
So you said we African American, those are bywords?
That's a byword.
Not
Yes, it's
knowledge.
because you're not African
Lack of
American.
knowledge.
You're not Black American. You're not black.
Black is a color.
I'm a light-skinned black person.
And if you, what about the definition of black?
Black is a color.
Black is all bad. There's nothing good about it.
It's all bad.
Deuteronomy 28:48.
Come on.
Let's read it.
Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which power of Israel shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Who else has done it? Judah is the one that went through that. A yoke of iron on the neck.
Yeah.
You will hunger. What did they give us after you worked 12, 15 hours in the slave field? Scraps.
Pig intestines.
Scraps.
Chitlin.
And we had to
Yeah.
figure out how can we cook these chitlins.
Our people was not eating that before they came
No, they
to
weren't.
America.
Ignorant
We
slave
wasn't
food.
eating
That's all soul food is.
Hunger and thirst and nakedness.
Right.
You want in all things. The one thing that they all wanted, freedom. They would commit suicide in order to have freedom. Okay? They would rather die than to work. And then the yoke of iron upon their neck. Where's William Chin? Right there. William Chin. A yoke of iron on their neck.
I don't see the fake Jews having yokes of iron upon their heads.
Tell a fake Jew. You ever had your people have a yoke of iron around their neck?
They must
No,
have had
that actually meant symbolic. What a crop.
Maybe they think they're talking about the Holocaust.
Yeah, I saw street preaching and the fake Jew was like, well, the Jews were killed, and the guy street preaching was like, there wasn't even 6 million people living in, I don't know what country he was at.
Deuteronomy 28:49. Let's read that.
Power of Israel shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
When we do our teaching on deception, we're going to learn a lot about that eagle. But that eagle is the sign of Esau. They put that eagle on everything. This goes for so-called Mexicans too, because what's on their flag? Esau's eagle. The eagle. Their teacher is, she's so-called Mexican. She's Issachar. Tell the teacher she's from the tribe of Issachar.
She might get suspended for that one.
Alright, so the eagle flyeth. America. Eagle, America. We can go all the way back to Rome. Rome is just a, what's that?
Babylon also had an eagle.
Yeah, they did. But as far as the persecution, started with Rome. Deuteronomy. See, the thing of it is that they failed. Rome is the only one who's still operating right now. And the Bible prophesied about that because if we know, Babylon was what? What animal was Babylon? No.
It wasn't the bear.
What animal was Babylon?
Was it the
Come on.
what is it called?
Was it the eagle or the lion?
No.
Was it a leopard or something? Who had
No, leopard was Greece.
Oh,
The bear was Persian.
Give me a hint.
did it? Wait.
You sure the bear was Persian?
Bear was
No, the
Persian.
bear
was
was
crushing
Persian
the
because it was
bones.
and it crushed
And they had the 3 bones.
because it crushed.
Who was Babylon? Was it a sign of Judah?
Oh, it was a lion.
Wow.
So they stole
Okay,
our,
that's going to be a great question for next week.
so they stole our
Hey, write
sign.
that down.
Not really. That was a prophecy that Daniel had. Deuteronomy 28:68.
And the power of Israel shall bring thee unto Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
No man shall buy you. Now this prophecy in Deuteronomy 28:68, it goes for the so-called blacks, but it also can go for so-called, can go for Gad. Because Gad was on slave ships also when they took the Gad from the Americas to England on slave ships. My history teacher ain't never told me that. I only thought that we came over in slave ships. No, Gad was on slave ships going from America to England.
You know what's crazy about that? And when I had AP history, we had read a book and Christopher Columbus made a statement.
Don't you say Christopher Columbus in here.
Still Chris Columbus made a statement in his own words saying how he took Gad and put them on the ships and brought them back to show them to the other people.
Yep. There you go. What about gang banging and street corners? Let's get Isaiah 51:20. That can happen for all 12. That can happen for Gad, Issachar, and, well, mostly Issachar and Judah. Gad, they're not really into gangbanging. They're just into alcoholism.
Now they are. They like to call themselves Crips.
Well, Gad is calling themselves Crips now.
A gang of them. Every time I see one, they talking about they Crips.
See how Judah starts something and how everybody falls in and it's always bad? Yep. All right, Isaiah 51:20, let's read it.
Thy son hath fainted. Thy lion at the head of all the streets, as a wild bull in a net. They are full of the fury of power of Israel, the rebuke of thy power.
So that video that we saw, Manimal, Isaiah 51:20. It's right there. Sons fainted, they lie at the head of all the streets. It's right there. Getting shot in the streets, hanging out in the streets, doing everything in the streets. Okay? As a wild bull in a net. That means anger. Angry. But they are full of the fury of the Most High, the rebuke, meaning that they're doing the opposite of what the Most High wants them to do. Okay?
They are full of the fury of...
Let's get another one. Your women ruling over you. Isaiah 3:12 and 13.
As for my people, children are the oppressors, and women rule over them.
Women rule over them. Go ahead.
O my people, they which lead thy cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. Power of Israel standing up to plead and stand to.
So guess what, black men, Judah men, your women, if you're under the curse, they're going to rule over you. Why do you think there's more Judah women in colleges than men? Why do you think the prisons have more Judah men? There's more Judah men in prison than there are in college.
Man.
It's part of the curse. The women overtake them. Look at the sitcoms. And you see the powerful black woman. And the husband is an Atonement.
He's an idiot.
Bumbling idiot. But it's in the households. I know of a certain lady whose husband, shame to say, he has cancer. But she runs that household. He's an Atonement. They're Christians. He's a soft-speaking Atonement. But he's under Isaiah 3:12. Okay? Genesis. Oh. Alrighty then. One moment. All right, Genesis 39:5. The birth of Judah. Genesis 39, chapter 5. Let's read it.
And she conceived again and bare a son, and she said, Now will I praise Ahiah. Therefore she called his name Judah and left bearing.
So, Judah, Leah was praising the Most High. And Leah bare Judah. Leah is the mother of Judah. And she said, I will praise the Most High, therefore his name is Judah, or Yahweh. Let's go to the prophecy in Genesis chapter 49.
Wait, so how many kids did Leah have? She gave birth to a few nations.
6.
Leah had 6 children.
And all of them was different. They were never the same.
What do you mean they wasn't?
Well, they were all dark, but it's just when they start moving to other places, wasn't it?
Yeah, the sun.
The darkness didn't happen until they start moving to other places.
The sun affected this thing.
But you also know with Leah, with Issachar, her mating, she gave her mating to her husband.
Right.
Yeah, that's why she.
And that's how Issachar came about.
Right.
She did not give birth to Issachar, her mating did.
Right.
Right.
So there was Zilpah and Bilhah who gave birth to, I think, 4 of the tribes. Leah gave birth to, I believe, 6 or 7. Rachel gave birth to 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
I know it's Benjamin, I know Joseph. I can't remember if there's a 3rd. Okay? But she died giving birth to Benjamin. All right, Genesis 49, verse 8. We're going to break verse 8 up, and we're going to get an understanding of Yahweh. Let's read it.
Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise.
Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. So I'm not making this up by Judah being, the tribe where if we get it right, all the other ones are going to fall in line. It's right here in the Bible. Let's read it. This prophecy is about Yeshua. The kingship was delivered to the tribe of Judah forever because of the obedience of David and his love for the Most High. Yeshua was created by the Most High in the beginning. He came to earth in a physical form through the seed of David. Joseph was from the tribe of Judah. Okay? The tribe of Judah is waking up. We're going to get Ezekiel chapter 37. Okay? And we're going to show the spiritual awakening of Judah. All right, so we're going to read Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 1 through 14. I said earlier that you two may want to switch off because we're going to be in the Old Testament a lot. Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 1 through 14. All right? Ezekiel 37, verses 1 through 14. And we did a teaching on the valley of dry bones. Okay?
The hand of power of Israel was upon me and carried me out into the spirit of power of Israel and set me down in the midst of the valley which was full of bones.
So Ezekiel was, the spirit of the Most High came on Ezekiel and he sat in the midst of the valley of full of bones. Now, the Most High didn't pick Ezekiel up and put him in a valley of dry bones. Okay? Let's be honest. Verse 2.
And caused me to pass by them round about, and behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry.
There were very many. Very many. How many churches in this radius right here?
Very many.
16.
Very many.
And they're very dry.
Yeah, right, they are.
Verse 3.
And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Ahiah, thy power thou knowest.
So he's saying, can these Sunday going bones live? Sunday church going bones live? Weak, effeminate pastors live? Verse 4.
Again, he said unto me, prophesy upon these bones. And
we're gonna eventually get together, man, and stand in front of one of these churches.
But what is my sense?
We need to strike that from the camera. Let's finish.
And say unto me, O ye dry bones, hear the word of power of Israel.
Hear the word of the power of Israel. O ye dry bones. O ye Sunday worshipers.
Yeah.
O ye Wednesday night Bible studiers. O ye these people. O ye followers of Christmas. O ye followers of Israel. Followers of Easter. Halloween in the church because you don't want the kids out trick-or-treating. But you don't have Halloween in your church. Hear ye the power of hear the words. Verse 5.
Thus saith Ahai thy power to these bones. Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live.
Do you know that you are from the tribe of Judah? Go to the Catholic church down the street. Do you know that you're from the tribe of Issachar? Start breathing into these bones. Verse 6.
And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and you shall live, and ye shall know that I am Ahai thy power.
Come on, don't you know that you had chains and shackles on you, and those chains and shackles are curses, according to Deuteronomy 28. Do you know that you were following sun gods and moon gods, and that was cursed upon you, and the conquistadors came over? Do you know that you were not speaking Spanish only 500 years ago, but you were speaking full-fledged Hebrew? Don't you know that? Don't you know that you were not, your last name was not Sanchez and Gomez and Perez and Diaz? Don't you know that your last name is not Jones, Smith, Walters? Don't you know that?
That's right.
Don't you know that you were not built to play basketball?
That's right.
Don't you know that you were not built to be a forced laborer?
That's right.
You gotta breathe. You gotta put sinews on these. You gotta put flesh on these. You gotta cover them up with skin. You gotta breathe breath into these dry bones.
These bones are alive. All right.
You have to.
Yes.
You have to bring forth the truth.
Yeah.
7. Let's go.
So I prophesied as I was commanded,
Did as I was told. Come on.
and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, shaking.
Shaking. Those bones, what are they doing?
Come on
The
now.
bones came together.
What did they do?
Came together.
Go ahead.
Bone to his bone.
Somebody is listening.
That's right.
Somebody is saying, wait a minute.
I hear you.
What this brother is saying is kind of making sense.
Yep. God.
Wait a minute. Verse 8.
And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above,
All right.
but there was no breath in them.
No breath in them.
Not
Why
yet.
is that? Oh, because they're just starting.
All right.
You just heard that Jesus ain't his name. It's a higher.
That's right.
What? A higher. No, Jesus is not his name. It's Yeshua. What?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, brother. I've been calling on the name Jesus all my life. Wait a minute, brother. I've been calling on Jehovah all my life.
Oh, no.
Wait a minute. There's no breath. But then you got to come back at him. Verse 9.
Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind.
Yes.
Prophesy, son of man.
Prophesy.
And say to the wind,
Uh-huh.
thus saith the Ahai thy power. Come from the four winds,
Yes.
O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live.
They are dead. They are lying there corpse. You just told them that Jesus ain't his name. And you show proof that Jesus ain't his name.
That's right.
Using the Hosea chapter 6 verse 14.
That's
and
right.
using Luke chapter 1 verse something where it says that it talks about Satan. You're showing him that Savior in Luke is the same Savior in Hosea, and the Hebrew word is the same. And you're saying that Hebrew word says Yeshua. Oh.
All right.
Oh.
All right.
They're still dead.
Speak the truth.
Because, well, I got to take that up with my pastor. I got to take that up with my pastor. I know that when you talk about this, that he going to have a sermon tomorrow on Sunday about it. Verse 10.
So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army.
So you go to Sunday worship, and your pastor is talking about, well, we had a good day at the picnic yesterday. We want to thank Sister Sharon for bringing her fabulous pie. And let's go to one scripture, and then when we do with this one scripture, we're going to have the choir come up. Choir, get ready. And you sitting there. What about, what's going on? I got to find that Israelite brother. Because your eyes are opening up. Verse 11.
Then he said unto me,
Yeah.
All right, look at her right now.
Revelation chapter 1 verses, no, Shlachta. Revelation chapter 14 verses 1 through 5. If you have questions, please stop and let's break it down. And we all can get an understanding. Revelation, because I could be saying something that I may be wrong. Revelation 14, 1 through 5. Let's read it.
And I looked, and lo, a Lamb stood on the Mount Sion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written in their foreheads.
All right. We all know who the 144,000 are, right?
12,000 from each tribe.
Verse 2.
And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps.
Verse 3.
And they sung, as it were a new song, before the throne, and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth.
Now, that particular song is Exodus chapter 15.
We need to learn that song.
We're going to make a song out of that song.
All right? Exodus chapter 15. Verse 4.
These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins.
And I don't have to explain that. I think we explained that. We taught on that before. That's not really talking about women, and that's not really talking about virgins. It's talking about religion. Okay? That's not saying, I didn't have slept with a woman, so I can't be part of the 144,000. Let's read.
These are they which follow the Lamb. Whithersoever he goeth, these were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto the Most High and to the Lamb.
And to the Lamb. Verse 5.
And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of the Most High.
So in their mouth was found no guile. That means that they were not teaching false doctrine. They were teaching straightly from the Most High. All of Noah's sons were men of color, Israelites from Shem. Also Hamites are black. Let's get Psalms 83:4. And let's read that. Come on.
They had said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
That's for everybody. Israel and Judah fell because of the curses of their disobedience. But the Most High never casted them away. So let's get an understanding. We went to Romans 11:13. Let's see. Let's go to Romans 11:1 through 5. Okay? Let's read it.
I say then, hath the Most High cast away his people? The Most High forbid.
Has the Most High cast away his people? Well, where are you, God? No, he hasn't. Go ahead.
For I also am an Israelite, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
You can say you're an Israelite from the seed of Abraham, from the tribe of Issachar, or from the tribe of Judah, or from the tribe of Gad. Right?
Come!
Verse 2.
The Most High hath not cast away his people with which he foreknew. What? Ye not? Wait.
He not.
What? Ye not what the scripture saith of Elias? How he maketh intercession to the Most High against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed thy prophets, and digged down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer of the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Even so then, at this present time, also there is a remnant according to the election of grace.
He reserved himself 7,000 men who have not bowed down to the image of Baal. Very interesting. John 1:29.
The next day, John seeth Yeshua coming unto him, and said, Behold, the Lamb of the Most High, which taketh away the sin of the world.
That's what Yeshua came here for. Revelation chapter 5, verse 5.
And one of the elders said unto me, Weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof.
Anytime the Bible says root or seed, it's talking semen. Okay?
Root of the seed.
Revelation 5:12.
Saying with a loud voice, Worthy is the Lamb that was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing.
That's what we're going to receive when we're in the New Jerusalem. Notice nothing bad about that scripture that we're going to get. Our last scripture, Revelation 19:15. Remember earlier when we had the winepress in Genesis, and we did precept with Isaiah, with Yeshua, with the winepress, and now we have another precept. Let's read it.
And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty thy power.
Lord, of Almighty thy power. That was our last scripture.
Yehovah!
Probably want to remember these symbols.
Yehovah.
Okay? Judah.
Gad.
God.
The
Okay?
tribe of Gad.
Yes. Oh, the tent? Oh, good. That was Gad. All right? Yeah, Simeon.
The tribe of Simeon.
Okay? Hope you remember these symbols. They're very important.
Levi.
Why is Levi like that? In fact, let's go back. Why is Judah blind?
Because the lion is the king of all beasts.
Why is Judah the lion?
Because they're fearless and fierce.
Why is Judah the lion? We just had a teaching on this. Why is Judah the lion?
From Babylon? I don't know what's out here.
Where does Yeshua come from? What is Yeshua called?
A leader.
The Lion of Judah.
Thank you. Why is Gad this?
Warrior.
Yes. Oh, that's
Almost
very
right.
good. Almost right.
They would take them and put them in tents.
Gad lives in
They
tents,
live
right?
in tents, yeah. That's how they live. That's
So you need to be paying attention.
Why is Simeon this? The Medicans.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a castle.
Oh, it's a castle.
They're the kings of the Caribbean. Medicans are.
The people are supposed to go to the wilderness to get over to where.
That's a very good No, this is the Dominican Republic. Why is Simeon this?
I don't think Oh! Is it because of the God? Wait. When the kingdom was split,
Come on,
who was the king that the Most High?
Shalmaneser.
Was he from Simeon?
No, he was Assyrian.
Oh yes. No, he was. When the kingdom
Let's
was.
go to Genesis chapter 49 and let's read on Simeon.
No, whooping their butts. That's why they just.
I said Genesis 49.
Genesis 49.
And let's read about Simeon.
What? Oh, no, just read about Simeon.
I said read about Simeon.
Simeon and Levi are brothers. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations.
Habitation. It's just a house.
Oh, it's a house.
Overthinking.
Somebody said Pirates of the Caribbean.
Overthinking. Issachar? Yes.
The donkey, because it's strong.
They put the donkey because before Mexico was ever created, before Mexico was ever created, they had to take donkeys. They had to ride donkeys.
I'm glad that you're listening. Okay?
Because, we already answered it.
Levi.
That was window.
What is that?
It's the breastplate they used to wear with all the stones on it.
Oh, because
The
they were the
stone
high
of the
priest.
12 tribes. The jewels of the 12 tribes.
Reuben.
What is that?
Flower.
Seminole Indians and Aborigines. Let's go to the Testament.
Well, it's done to just keep it
Because they
open.
because they put flowers.
No, flowers, that's how you greet people and show.
Let's read it.
Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of diligency, and the excellency of power. Unstable as water thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, and defilest thou it.
Reuben. That's a tree branch.
A tree branch?
Did it say it's wild?
Right.
Oh, it's a wildflower.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
A wildflower.
Benjamin.
A wolf.
Yes.
There's a look for their meat.
Benjamins are
No.
not mean Jamaicans. Why is Benjamin dictated as a wolf? For those of you who have been here, you should know this. Yes?
Have I been here?
No.
Well, if you know the characteristic of a wolf, they travel in packs.
Oh yeah.
Devour and consume.
Has nothing on it. Unfortunately,
But
has nothing
Benjamin,
to
they was prophesied, I guess, to sing or something. I don't know.
do- What do wolves do at night?
They
Wow.
And what do Jamaicans do when they're singing? How
They
does-
sing on that music. That wasn't Jamaican.
They're going to profess their music through singing, through
They
their voice,
yeah, the truth.
through their howling.
Yeah, that's a scripture that says that.
Zebulon.
Because
That's a ship.
They sail.
Because they would live on the port, right?
No, because they was travelers.
No.
No, you're real close. Go to the prophetic of Zebulon.
Because they live on the haven of the sea.
And what does that mean? Where do they live now?
On the
They live on the border.
Guatemala, Puerto Rico, right? Guatemala?
No, Puerto Rico is Ephraim.
No, No, those is Guatemala.
The Panama Canal.
The Panama Canal, yes.
They live on the border.
What
I
do they
told
do
you.
on the Panama Canal?
What
They do a
ships?
lot of,
They fish, they do all of
no,
that.
they sell a lot of transport.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Shit.
transport. They
Transport.
built the thing.
Right.
Lee is hot dog. She over there.
Yeah.
A snake because they were snakes.
Because they were slippery serpents.
Dad, it said they would bite the adder. I mean, would bite the heel.
They would be the adder, the bite the heel of who?
It's the 12 tribes
Of
I
the
think
horse.
of the
the
horse.
horse, yeah.
Which the horse is a symbol for Israel, right?
Okay. Dan was pretty Asher. And I know I spelled that wrong. It should be A-S. Asher. Asher is South America. What was the prophecy for Asher?
Colombia.
Royal dainties.
What?
Fertile.
Oh, fertile. Okay, yeah.
But they do have a lot of babies.
Okay. Naphtali.
No, it's all.
Wait, what is that? A tent?
Is that a tent? Or a thing for where they fight? You know, like.
I can't see somebody snapping at
Yes.
Is that a store?
Because the man that was supposed to fight the lion, he had a different way to it, and he was in a tent, and it would make people make him go and get the sound of the back.
No.
Okay.
What?
We're gonna talk afterwards. Naphtali is basically it's the South Seas. That's a tent. Okay.
I got David's story mixed up with Saul's and then
Ephraim and Manasseh.
Is that a rope?
It's on a rock.
Because they live in the mountains?
No.
Because they was quick and agile. They were strong, swift warriors.
The Cubans and Ephraim on the Puerto Rican.
Cubans and Puerto Ricans. Or the Belinquita Indians.
Ephraim-
Belinquita and Taino
Yeah,
Indians.
Ephraim has been the Puerto Ricans.
and Manasseh.
Right. Right. They're also the Belinquita and
Yeah,
the
Ephraim
Taino
and
Indians.
Manasseh.
Is that what a deer or what is that?
It's a deer.
Oh,
They were quick
Uh,
deer. I don't know, like you know how deers like really can pet them. I kind of just rat.
Well, they're symbols together because they're brothers.
they were brothers.
Joseph's sons.
Joseph is the last one.
What is that? Is that because he was the kid? He was.
Green.
What happened to Joseph with?
Oh, is that the corn?
Like he finished.
And
I'm
wheat.
sorry.
Finish.
Can I finish? What do you mean? Joseph, wheat. Remember the corn?
Yeah, father let him be captured so he could give food to his people, right?
Oh, you
Correct.
want to finish what he was saying?
All right. All praise to Ahia in the name of the Shire. That is our teaching for today.
Yes. I feel something there.
All right. So today we learned about Judah.